Question: what is the Word? Well, the concept really comes from the Gospel of John, where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And then it also says, "Without him was not anything made that was made." And as I've mentioned before, really the Gospel of John was first written in Greek. And the Greek word that was used was logos. And this was translated into English as word, which is really not the highest possible translation, I think, because logos really means the whole. And so what I've explained before is that a better translation of this would actually be that it is the universal Christ consciousness, or the one mind. Because as I've explained, the Creator decided to create our world of form. It decided to create self-aware extensions of itself, send them into the world of form with a point-like sense of self, and for the purpose that they would raise their sense of self until they reach the Creator consciousness. But in order to grow in awareness, we have to have free will. And we can use our free will to expand our sense of connection with our Creator, or we can use our free will to go into what I call separation, where we see ourselves as separate beings. And we can literally become lost for a long time in separation. So the Creator knew that they had to create some way where no matter how far we go into separation, no matter how many illusions we create, we can get back to oneness. So we don't get lost permanently. And in order to do this, God, the Creator, first created out of His own being this, what in the Bible is called the Word or the Logos, but which I really say it's the one mind that is meant to always tie the creation to its Creator. So anything in the world of form is created out of the one mind. Therefore the one mind is within it, or behind the outer form, there's the one mind. Any being, any self-aware being, is created out of the Christ mind and has the Christ mind within it. So this means that no matter how deeply we go into the illusion of separation, we can, if we are willing, reach for the Christ mind and receive some insight. Now this insight won't set us instantly free from separation, but it will set us free from the one illusion we're dealing with right now, and we can reach on another insight that free us from the next illusion and keep going. That's how we raise up what I call a spiritual path, where we raise up to the different levels of consciousness among the 144. So the Word is really the universal Christ consciousness. Now, so this is the universal aspect of the Word, but the Word also has a more individualized aspect, and that is that in order to understand this, we have to understand that Christianity has presented a completely false image of Jesus and His mission. Because Christianity has, with the beginning of the Catholic Church, raised Jesus to be an exception. He was the only Son of God. But in reality, Jesus was meant to be an example of what we can all go through. And what the potential we all have is, as I said, we can raise our consciousness, and when we get to the higher levels among the 144, certainly above the 96th level, we begin to have what we can call personal Christhood. It's not the fullness of Christhood, but we begin to have some degree of it. And what did Jesus describe this as? He actually said, "I can of my own self do nothing." Because what you realize at this point is that you, as a separate being, or as a physical body, or as an outer mind, you can't really do anything. Because in order to do anything, you need energy. And this energy is not something you can produce. It's not something that's in this world. It's something you receive from a higher realm, from the Christ mind, from the Ascended Masters, ultimately from the Creator. So without this, you can't do anything. And that means that you now overcome this illusion of separation, that you are a separate being who is powerful, who can do things, and who can force others, and this and that, and who knows better than God how the world should work. So you overcome all of this, and therefore, as Jesus said, "I can of my own self do nothing, the Father within me doeth the work." The Father within is, in a sense, the Christ mind, but also your I am presence. And so, Jesus also talked about, "I am the open door which no man can shut." And Christians have, of course, interpreted this to mean Jesus is the open door He is the only road to salvation. But this was not Jesus saying this. This was the universal Christ mind speaking through him, because Jesus had become the open door for the universal Christ mind to speak through him as the individualized Christ mind. And therefore, this was the Christ mind saying, I, the Christ mind, am the open door which no man can shut. Because no matter how low you go in consciousness, you can still reach for some aspect of the Christ mind. So, we can also say that when you raise your consciousness, so you begin to connect to the Christ mind, recognize the Christ mind is within you, you, all of us, have the potential to become the open door for the Christ mind to speak through us. And what the Christ mind then speaks through us is also can be called the Word, and it can be more rightfully called the Word, because it's not us with our outer minds that are speaking it, it's coming from a higher source. And this then has the potential to awaken other people who maybe sense that there's something deeper than just the word and the outer meaning of the word. There's a flow of energy that's coming through it. So you can also look at it that way. And therefore, in a way, you can say that really, I would put it this way, that the highest meaning of the word is that it's a spoken word. Because when you are speaking something, there is more of a flow of energy than if it's written down. So you can hear something and it has a deeper impact on you than if you're reading the same thing. But that doesn't mean that what is written down can also be an expression of the Christ mind. And this is the whole idea of when we unite with the Christ mind and keep raising our awareness, we can reach the highest level of awareness, the 144th level. And after that, we can choose to ascend to the spiritual realm. When we ascend to the spiritual realm, we become what I call an ascended master, a permanent being, an immortal being in the spiritual realm. And there are ascended masters who are assigned to be the spiritual guides and teachers for unascended humankind. And they are working with us, and they are doing it in many different ways by releasing various energies. But one of the ways they can also do it is they can work with a person individually and speak through them. So anybody, when you are having a conversation with somebody, for example, you can actually have a certain connection, a intuitive connection to an ascended master, and that master can inspire you to say something you couldn't come up with in your outer mind. But beyond the words, there's also a flow of energy. And many spiritual people, I think, experience this once in a while, that they recognize there's something speaking through them. So that's another expression of the word. And then, of course, for some time, starting probably really in the 1930s with the I Am movement, the Ascended Masters are given what they call progressive revelation, which is that they have trained certain people to be messengers who can go into a neutral state of mind so that without being in a trance, as many channelers, the Ascended Masters can speak through them. And there are several people who have been trained to do this. I am one of them. I was started doing this in 2002. I've since then taken pretty much 1,000, I think around 1,000 of these dictations from the Ascended Masters, where I go into a neutral state of mind and the Master is speaking through me. I am conscious, I'm aware of it being said. I'm not really influencing it. I could break it off if I wanted to, but I'm not really influencing what's being said. So that's another way to explain the word, because it's a word that comes from a higher source. It's not, you can see some of these dictations. I mean, many times I have no idea what a dictation is going to be about. I may have a hint of a topic or maybe a beginning sentence. So I stand up there in front of a group of people and start speaking, and an hour later the dictation ends. And there is no way I could have come up with this in my outer mind. So it clearly comes from a higher source. And so this is another expression of the word. But as I said, some people are trained to do it in a more formal way, but all spiritual people can be open doors for this flow on certain occasions. So there are different levels to explain the word. So what you can say is this. You can have words that are spoken or written from a person's outer mind. That's not the word. Then you can have words that are spoken through a person's outer mind, maybe somewhat affected by their cultural background, the way they use words, what they know and don't know. But there's a stream of energy and probably an inspiration of words that is beyond the person's outer mind. And that's what you can also call the word. And people who are sensitive to this can feel it. When they hear it, when they read it, they can feel there's something beyond the outer mind. And that's why spiritual people are spiritual. That's why they have found a particular spiritual teaching, because they sense there's something in that teaching, there's something coming from that teacher that's beyond the outer mind, and that's what we are longing for as spiritual people. So it's just a matter of refining our ability to tune into that and to recognize the word rather than the words that come from the human level or even a lower level.